Have you ever had a perfectly peaceful day until someone came along and ruined it? Maybe it was just one careless comment, a judgmental look, or an unnecessary criticism, and suddenly your calmness is gone. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? You know, you shouldn't react, but inside, it feels like something is burning. And then you ask yourself, how am I supposed to stay peaceful when I'm surrounded by negative people? You don't want to become cold or indifferent, but you also don't want to get pulled into someone else's emotional storm. You want to stay centered, but you don't know where to begin. Is there a way to smile even when faced with judgment or criticism without feeling weak? What do you usually do when someone offends you? Stay silent? Snap back? Walk away? There's a well-known story about a Zen master who was insulted in the middle of a crowded market. But instead of reacting, he just smiled and walked away. That wasn't weakness, that was wisdom. The kind of wisdom that protects your inner peace. You might think, but I'm not the Buddha. I'm just a regular person. I have feelings. Exactly. That's why it's even more important to learn how to let go. In today's video, we'll explore 8 powerful lessons from Buddhist teachings to help you deal with negative people without losing your peace of mind. So come along with me and let's take this journey together. Let's learn how to stand firm like a mountain, even when life throws storms our way. 1. The breath, a safe refuge in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it only takes one careless word, and your whole day feels heavy. A sharp comment, a cold stare, or even just someone's silent resentment. Little things like that can hit surprisingly hard, especially when they catch you off guard. When your heart's still open and your defenses aren't up yet, life isn't always smooth. There are days when you've done nothing wrong, and still, someone else's emotions pull you in. A stranger on the street, a family member at home, a coworker at the office, one random outburst, and suddenly you feel like defending yourself, proving your worth, or simply walking away. But what if, in that very moment, you paused? No reaction, no words, just quietly came back to your breath. That one deep, mindful breath, slow and full, might be all you need. Not to run away, not to bottle things up, but to return to yourself, the place within you that no one else can touch or control. Breathe in and know, I'm still here. Breathe out and release. I don't need to carry what doesn't belong to me. Once, during a meditation session at a small center in California, a middle-aged woman walked in with a heavy look on her face. When invited to share, she said with a shaky voice, I don't understand why, but every time my mother-in-law says something, I explode even if I was in a good mood before. No one judged her, because we've all been there. When we're not mindful, someone else can push our emotional buttons with just a few words. They can remote control our feelings and we don't even realize it. So that whole evening, we practiced just one thing, resting in the breath. Every time the urge to fight back came up, return to the breath. Every time anger started to rise, return to the breath. No need to analyze, no need to argue. Just breathe and see, here's that feeling again. And it'll pass too. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha said, breathing in, I am aware of my whole body. Breathing out, I calm my whole body. Just one line like that, if truly lived, can save us from so many arguments. It can hold us steady, even in the middle of a storm, because the breath is the bridge between body and mind. It's the doorway to clarity. You don't need a special room. You don't need incense or bells. You just need a moment to stop and remember. You have a refuge inside. Others may bring storms with them, But that doesn't mean you have to open the door and let them in. A Tibetan master once said something that stayed with me. The breath is the one friend that never betrays you. When everyone else walks away, the breath stays. No one can take it from you. And no one can control what's going on inside if you remember to return to your breath at the right moment. And often, in those quiet moments where nothing seems to happen, that one mindful breath becomes your safest shelter while the winds outside keep blowing. We can't change everyone. We can't stop people from saying hurtful things. But we can learn not to get pulled in, not to let someone's anger become our own. So the next time you feel yourself getting pulled, remember, you don't have to win. You don't have to be right. You just have to come back to the breath. And if you stay with that small practice long enough, something beautiful will happen. The negativity outside won't shake the peace inside quite like it used to. 2. Negativity is a reflection of their pain, not a reflection of you. There's a question many people quietly carry in their hearts. Why do others treat me so badly, even when I've done nothing wrong? Sometimes it's an unnecessary criticism. Sometimes it's a judgmental stare. Other times, it's coldness or harshness coming from the very people we love. And the first reaction for most of us is self-blame. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I did something wrong and didn't even realize it. But as we learn from the teachings of the Buddha, we begin to see something important. Other people's behavior doesn't always reflect the truth about you. Sometimes, it's just a reflection of their own suffering. In Buddhism, suffering comes from ignorance, ego clinging, and unhealed wounds. When someone lashes out, speaks harshly, or reacts with anger, it may not be about you at all. It might be an abandoned part of them crying out, a bruised inner child, a crack in the heart they don't even know how to name. So what do? They spill it out onto the world around them. It's like someone walking around with an open wound. Even the slightest accidental touch feels unbearable. But that pain says more about the wound than the person who touched it. There's a story in the scriptures where the Buddha was giving a talk, and a man stormed in, full of rage. He shouted, he insulted, he threw harsh words in every direction. But the Buddha sat quietly, calm, smiling gently. No response. Eventually, the man stopped, confused. "Aren't you angry?" he asked. "Why don't you say anything back?" The Buddha replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does it belong?" The man answered, "To the one who offered it, of course." The Buddha said, "Then I do not accept your anger, it stays with you." That story isn't just something to hear, it's something to live. Because every day, we're offered those gifts. A rude comment, a judgmental attitude, a burst of someone else's rage. But here's the choice we always have. Do I accept it or not? If you don't accept it, it has nowhere to land. If you don't react, it can't control you. There was once a lay practitioner who came to me, confused and hurt. He said, "I know I shouldn't get angry, but I still feel so upset when someone in my family insults me." So I asked him, if someone in pain yells at a doctor, should the doctor take it personally? He smiled sadly. No, because the doctor knows they're just in pain. Exactly. When we truly see the pain in others, we stop taking their behavior as a personal attack. Not because we're better than them, but because we realize it's not our fault. It's their hurt. And sometimes, what they need most isn't a clever comeback. It's the quiet compassion of someone who doesn't get pulled in. Of course, it's not easy. When someone comes at us with anger, our instinct is to defend, to react, to prove we're right. But in that moment, just pause and ask a simple question. Do I really need to carry this anger with me? Is what they said truly who I am? If not, then let it go. Not out of weakness, but out of clarity. Because holding on only hurts more. People who are negative often don't need more arguments. What they need is the calm presence of someone who refuses to get pulled into their storm. And if we can be that person, then we become the soft light in someone else's darkness. We become the one who doesn't pass the pain forward. And here's the truth. When we stop receiving people's packages of anger, our heart becomes lighter. Even if they don't change right away, we no longer give them the power to control how we feel. So next time you face negativity, try seeing it differently. Not as they're attacking me, but as they're hurting and I don't need to carry their wound. And once you've learned how to stop receiving that negativity, you might find yourself asking the next question. How do I keep it from lingering inside me long after the moment has passed? We'll take that next step together in the following part of this journey. 3. Let it go, like a leaf floating down the river. Some words we hear only once, but they stay with us for years. Some looks just a passing glance, but they leave a mark that lingers deep inside. A careless comment, an unexpected insult, or even just someone's cold silence, it doesn't always end in that moment. It stays alive in the mind, like ink spilling onto white paper, spreading, sinking in, coloring the entire day with heaviness. Some people go home after being hurt, and they can't stop thinking about it. They lay in bed at night, playing the conversation over and over. I should have said something. Why did I stay silent? Why didn't I stand up for myself? And peace quietly slips away somewhere in the middle of that replay. But if we pause, look a little deeper, we begin to see something clearly. The person who hurt us may have said just one sentence, but we are the ones who keep repeating it in our heads. We hold on to it. We feed it with anger. We water it with our imagination. And we are the ones slowly being consumed by it. In the Buddhist teachings, there's a beautiful and simple image. Negative emotions are like dry leaves falling onto the surface of water. They float away if we don't pick them up. No matter how intense a feeling is, it's still a visitor. It arrives, and it will leave. The question is, will you hold on to it or let it pass? Holding on to a hurtful word is like clutching a burning coal. You don't throw it, you just keep holding it. And who gets burned first? A nurse once shared her story during a meditation retreat. She worked in a high-pressure hospital environment. One day, a patient in pain shouted at her, calling her names. She knew he was suffering, but it still hurt. She said, "I didn't react, but that night I couldn't stop thinking about it. I felt disrespected. I felt angry. I felt small." After quietly listening, the teacher gently asked, "Can you let those words float away, like leaves drifting down a river?" In that moment, something softened in her. She didn't need to analyze what happened. She didn't need to understand why he said those things. All she needed was to let it go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means making a conscious choice not to carry it with you anymore. Imagine your mind as a river. Every emotion, every event is just a leaf falling on the surface. They float away if no one grabs them. But the moment we try to hold on, the water becomes murky. And peace, like fish in clear water, disappears. The Buddha once said, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So many people live inside an emotional prison without realizing the key has always been in their hands. All it takes is one mindful breath, seeing a thought like a cloud in the sky. No attachment, no resistance, no need to chase it away. Just see it and let it go. And when you finally release an emotion, a memory, or a painful word, you'll notice how light it feels. So light that sometimes the tears fall not from sadness, but from the feeling of being free. The longer you live, the more you realize peace isn't found in never being hurt. Peace is found in no longer letting that hurt control your life. So if there's someone who once hurt you, if there's something sitting in your heart like a tiny stone, maybe today's the day you put it down. Breathe in, breathe out, and imagine that pain as a yellow leaf, gently drifting across the water and disappearing. And who knows, once you stop holding on, you might finally make room for the light to enter. 4. Silence isn't defeat. It's the strength of awareness. There are moments in life when everything inside feels like it's boiling over. Someone insults you. A false accusation comes out of nowhere. A cold, judgmental look cuts through the room. And instantly, that instinct to defend yourself kicks in. Your ego feels attacked. You want to speak up. You want to say something, anything, to show them you're not someone to mess with. And in that split second, silence feels like weakness, like surrender. But is that really true? From the lens of wisdom, silence isn't weakness at all. Silence is a conscious choice, a powerful strength that comes from within the kind that knows exactly what's worth responding to and what's not. Long ago in India, there was a Zen master who often walked through a busy market. Most people admired and respected him except for one man. This man, out of jealousy, would insult the monk every time he passed by, yelling, cursing, even spitting at him. And every time, the monk would simply smile and keep walking, not a word in return. Someone once asked him, "Why don't you say anything? Don't you feel offended?" The monk replied calmly, "If a dog barks at you, do you need to bark back?" That answer wasn't arrogant. It wasn't meant to humiliate anyone. It was simply pointing to a deeper truth. Not everything that comes your way needs to be received. Not every word thrown at you needs a reply, because reaction is automatic. Awareness is a choice. In today's world, it doesn't take much to set people off. One rude comment online, one cold text, and suddenly we're spiraling. Everything becomes fuel for fire if we haven't yet learned how to protect the flame of peace within us. But the amazing thing is, no one can force you to react. Silence, when it comes from inner strength, makes the heart as steady as a mountain. Someone once said, "I used to think staying silent meant I was weak. Later, I learned it was actually the highest form of wisdom. You don't always have to speak. And staying quiet doesn't mean you're lost." Some people talk constantly and say nothing. Others say nothing and leave people thinking. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful teaching called right speech. It's not just about speaking kindly. It's also about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Words, no matter how sharp, are still just sounds in the wind. But silence, when it comes from compassion, speaks from the depths. So when someone's yelling in anger, trying to provoke, and you remain calm, it's not because you're scared. It's because you know, if you meet fire with fire, you both get burned. A student once asked a Zen teacher, "Master, someone humiliated me and I was furious. How can I just stay silent?" The teacher didn't answer. He simply poured a glass of water all the way to the brim and held it out. Then asked, "If someone wanted to add salt to this full glass, would it make any sense?" The student replied, "No, there's no room left." The master smiled. When your heart is already full of peace, there's no space left for other people's anger. Silence isn't avoidance. It's a refuge for the soul in the middle of unnecessary noise. Not every fight is worth joining. Not every comment deserves a reaction. True silence, the kind rooted in wisdom, doesn't make you look small. It makes others realize how loud they've been. And when you've learned to stay silent at the right time, when someone tries to pull you in and you no longer follow, you'll notice something beautiful. Your heart feels lighter. And peace, it doesn't come from winning an argument, but from not letting anyone pull you away from yourself. So next time someone throws sharp words your way, next time something unfair or untrue is said, pause and ask yourself, do I really need to react? Or can I simply smile and walk on? And once you've found that deep inner silence, the next question naturally follows. How do I stay grounded not just when criticized, but even when I'm praised? That's the heart of equanimity, the calm of a mountain in the face of every storm. And that's where we're headed in the next part of this journey. 5. Equanimity, like a mountain unshaken by praise or criticism. In this life, who hasn't been praised before? And who hasn't been criticized? Praise lifts us up. Criticism brings us down. That's perfectly normal. We're human. We feel things. But here's something not everyone notices. The more we rely on praise, the more we crumble when criticism comes. When someone lives for approval, they constantly feel the need to protect their image. Afraid of being misunderstood. Afraid of losing people's favor. Afraid of no longer being liked. And so, life becomes a balancing act, always on edge, like a leaf in the wind. One strong gust, and it breaks. The Buddha once taught that there are 8 worldly winds, and they always come in pairs. Fame and shame, praise and blame, gain and loss, pleasure and pain. These winds never stop blowing. If we keep chasing them, they'll keep sweeping us away. That's why the Buddha encouraged us to live like a mountain. No matter which direction the wind blows, the mountain doesn't move. I remember once, during a Dharma talk in the Western U.S., a middle-aged man asked, "I don't care much about criticism, but praise? What's wrong with feeling good when someone compliments me?" It was a great question because many people think only criticism is dangerous. But often, it's praise that hooks us the deepest. Criticism makes us guard ourselves. But praise? It makes us lower our guard and become vulnerable without even realizing it. Sometimes, people do good not out of kindness, but because they want applause. Sometimes, a generous act is just a way to earn recognition. And when the praise doesn't come, they feel empty. When they're not acknowledged, they question their worth. But here's the truth. Your real worth isn't based on what others say about you. It's based on what you hold on to, even when no one's cheering you on. There's a story of an old Zen master in China who was falsely accused of something he didn't do. The villagers came to his temple, shouting, blaming, humiliating him. He calmly replied, "Oh, is that so?" Later, when the truth came out and people apologized and praised his virtue, he simply smiled again and said, "Oh, is that so?" For him, praise or blame, they were just ripples on the surface of the lake. The truth lies deep below, where nothing stirs. Equanimity doesn't mean being numb. It's not indifference. It's the wisdom of seeing through the impermanence of all opinions. Today, someone loves you. Tomorrow, they might turn away. Today, they praise you. Tomorrow, they might tear you down. If your peace depends on their approval, your life will feel like a roller coaster. Those who live with equanimity aren't cold or detached. They've simply tasted both the sweetness of praise and the sting of criticism. Enough to know that neither one lasts. Real strength comes from within, like a mountain. Someone with inner clarity doesn't need to be understood by everyone. They don't need to explain themselves all the time, because they know the ones who truly understand will feel it with their hearts, not just their ears. And those who want to judge, no explanation will ever be enough. Once we stop clinging to praise or running from criticism, our heart becomes lighter. We stop chasing people's approval. We're no longer crushed when someone walks away. Peace doesn't come from being acknowledged. Peace comes when we no longer need to be acknowledged to feel worthy. So, next time someone praises you or criticizes you, just whisper in your heart, "This is just wind. The wind will blow, but the mountain stands." And once your heart is steady in the middle of praise and blame, once you're no longer reacting every time your ego is touched, a new question will arise. Can I face someone who hurt me with compassion? That will be the next step in our journey, where compassion isn't just for the kind and gentle, but becomes the healing force that dissolves hatred. 6. Compassion, the power that dissolves hatred. There's something that sounds a little strange at first, but it's actually very true. The people who hurt us the most are often the ones who need our compassion the most. Of course, that's not easy to hear. When someone wounds your heart, the first thoughts that pop up are usually, why did they do that? What did I do wrong? I didn't deserve that. And from there, a silent wound appears. Not just in your heart, but in the way you see them and yourself. But if you take a breath and look deeper into the roots of harmful behavior, you'll start to see something important. No one causes pain to others when they're truly happy inside. In the Buddha's teachings, there's a beautiful practice called metta, or loving kindness meditation. It's the art of sending good energy, not just to people you love, but especially to those who are the hardest to love. And sometimes, the people who've hurt us the most are the ones who become our greatest teachers in compassion. You begin with a gentle breath and quietly say in your heart, "May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. May you be happy." Sounds simple, right? But if practiced sincerely, it becomes a powerful force. Not to attack, but to dissolve hatred. There was a woman who once came to a meditation retreat. She had carried a deep resentment toward her father, who abandoned the family during her childhood. Even as an adult with her own life, the pain stayed with her, like a thorn that never left. During metta practice, she was guided to start with herself, then someone she loved, and eventually, the person she struggled with most, her father. She shook her head. "I can't," she said. But over time, as she sat in silence, repeating, "May you be free from suffering," whether in tears or quiet frustration, something inside her began to soften. It wasn't forced forgiveness. It was understanding. Understanding that her father, in his own way, had suffered too. She didn't excuse what he did, but she no longer held on to the bitterness. And that freed her. Not him, her. The Buddha said it best in the Dhammapada. Hatred does not cease by hatred. Hatred ceases only by love. This is an eternal truth. Compassion isn't weakness. It's not ignoring wrongdoing. It's the ability to see beyond someone's actions to the hurting human beneath. Maybe what they did was wrong. Maybe their words hurt. But you choose not to plant more seeds of anger. Not reacting doesn't mean you agree. Letting go of resentment doesn't mean you forget. It's a conscious choice. To stop letting your pain grow roots inside you. To stop letting hatred shape who you are. Someone once asked, "What if they never change?" What if they keep hurting me? The answer is simple. Compassion isn't about changing them. It's about protecting your own heart. Because holding on to anger is like locking yourself in a cage and forgetting you have the key. Letting go of it is how light finds its way in. And one day, after practicing compassion towards someone who once hurt you, your heart will soften enough that you don't need their apology. You don't need them to understand you or admit you were right. It's enough just to know you didn't strike back. You didn't cause more pain. That is the real victory. Not over them, but over yourself. So, if there's someone in your heart who still weighs heavy, if there's a memory you haven't been able to release, try this. Just whisper silently in your heart, "May you be at peace." No need for them to hear it. No need for them to respond. If your heart feels even a little lighter, it's already worth doing. And when compassion finally sinks in, when your mind is no longer ruled by resentment, you'll realize something truly freeing. No one can wound you deeply anymore. If you no longer carry the wound inside. 7. Don't react, just observe, like watching a wave fade away. There's something everyone eventually has to learn if they want to stay peaceful in this life. And that is, you don't always have to react. When someone attacks you with words, with blame, with judgment, your first instinct is to react, to fight back, to defend yourself, to explain, maybe even to strike back. But then, once it's all over, what's left? Exhaustion, regret, wishing you hadn't said what you said, or done what you did. All of it simply because you didn't pause, didn't stop long enough to just observe. In meditation, there's a simple but deeply powerful practice. Observing without reacting, just seeing without chasing, feeling without clinging, letting things come and then go. Like waves in the ocean. No matter how big they rise, they eventually dissolve back into the shore. Anger is the same. So is the sting of an insult. If you don't add fuel to the fire, it fades on its own. There's an old Zen story. One day, a man came and shouted harsh insults at a Zen master in front of a crowd. He yelled, accused, said cruel things. But the Zen master just sat quietly, listening, and didn't say a word. After the man left, a student asked, "Weren't you angry? Why didn't you say something to defend yourself?" The master smiled and pointed to the sea. He said, "Do you see those waves? Do they ever break the surface of the water?" The student paused. The teacher continued, "Other people's anger is like waves. If your mind is like water, the waves always fade. Only if your mind becomes a fragile little boat do you get carried away." In daily life, it's so easy to become that boat. One hurtful comment, one unfair criticism, one cold message, and suddenly your whole day is thrown off. Your mind gets swept away like a wave pulling you off course. But someone who learns to observe without reacting is like the deep ocean, calm and still beneath the surface, no matter the waves above. One Buddhist practitioner once shared, "I used to blow up when people talked behind my back, but the more I reacted, the more they enjoyed provoking me. Then I tried just sitting quietly, not saying a word, and they stopped. They lost interest. It wasn't that the others changed. It was she who stopped feeding the fire." The Buddha once said, "Like a torch without fuel, the flame dies out. Anger, left unfed, fades on its own." And a mindful person doesn't have to do anything dramatic. Just clearly see what's happening, like clouds drifting across the sky. No chasing, no pushing away, no trying to win or lose. This doesn't mean you're giving up. Not reacting isn't weakness. It's a conscious choice not to let others control your mind, not to let an outside wave shatter your peaceful lake inside. Someone once said something brilliant. Between the moment you're provoked and the moment you explode, there's a space. That space is called mindfulness. Whoever can hold that space is free. So, next time someone attacks you, says something sharp, throws a sudden insult, try not to react. Just take a deep breath and watch that wave inside your mind, like watching a stormy sea from a safe distance. Then gently ask yourself, if I don't push this wave, if I don't grab onto it, will it pass? Most of the time, the answer is yes. It passes. And every time a wave fades away in silence, your mind becomes stronger. Your inner stability grows. And peace no longer something you chase becomes something you live. Because in the end, learning not to react is learning to protect your inner freedom. Freedom from anger, freedom from insecurity, freedom from unnecessary battles. And once you've learned how not to be swept away by waves, you'll discover something truly powerful. No one can hurt you anymore if you no longer agree to be swept away. 8. Don't carry the past into the present. A lesson from two monks. There's a simple Zen story that holds a powerful lesson specially about how we carry the past with us. It goes like this. Two monks were traveling together on a pilgrimage. Along the way, they came across a woman standing hesitantly at the edge of a river. Her dress was long, the current was strong, and she clearly couldn't cross by herself. Without saying a word, the older monk gently picked her up and carried her across the river. She thanked him and went on her way. The two monks continued walking in silence. But hours later, the younger monk couldn't hold it in anymore. He said, "We're monks, we're not supposed to touch women. Why did you carry her?" The older monk simply smiled and replied, "I set her down at the riverbank hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" It's a short story, but if you listen with your heart, you'll see yourself in it. How many times in life has someone said one hurtful thing, and we carried it with us for days? How often has a situation already passed, yet we keep replaying it, reliving the emotions like it just happened? And sometimes, that feels heavier than the event itself. We humans tend to hold on to what's already gone, not because it's still affecting us now, but because our minds haven't learned how to let go. It's like walking with a heavy bag of stones on your back. Each stone is a memory, a harsh comment, a misunderstanding, a rejection, a regret you haven't forgiven. The farther you go, the heavier it gets. But instead of setting it down, we keep holding it and then wonder why we're so exhausted, why peace feels so far away. In the Buddhist teachings, there's something very deep. The present moment is the only reality. The past is just memory. The future is just imagination. And so much suffering comes from dragging the past into the present, then treating now like it's still yesterday. A man once said, "Every time I visit my mother, I feel tense. She always brings up the past things I did wrong as a kid, arguments we had. Even though I've changed so much, she still sees the old version of me." That's a clear example. When the past isn't seen with wisdom, it becomes a chaining down our relationships in the present. But often, it's not just others chaining us to the past. Sometimes we do it to ourselves. By repeating things like, "I'm not good enough," "I failed," "I deserve what happened," and even when the sun is shining today, we can't see it because we're still wearing the gray-tinted glasses of yesterday. The Buddha once taught, like a man carrying wet firewood, even near a fire he can't feel warmth. One who carries the past cannot feel the joy of the present. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means no longer letting what did happen have power over now. It's learning to put it down, just like that monk set the woman down by the river. So ask yourself, am I carrying something I don't need anymore? A grudge? A misunderstanding? A mistake you've already made peace with? If yesterday, letting it go. You don't have to force it. Just take it one breath at a time. And every time an old memory pops up, just notice it. Oh, I'm holding on to that again. Then breathe out, gently, like setting a stone down from your shoulders. And when you learn to stop carrying the past into the present, your heart feels lighter. Relationships feel softer. Even your body feels more at ease because you're not dragging around what no longer serves you. That's real freedom. Not from other people, but from within. Everything we've talked about so far, from coming back to your breath, to letting go of resentment, to staying grounded through praise and blame, to releasing the grip of the past, it all comes down to one truth. Peace doesn't come from the outside. It's a choice you make from within. People may still get angry. They may still judge or misunderstand you. Life might still throw you unfair moments, loss, or disappointment. But even in the middle of all that chaos, there is a place you can return to. A quiet, steady part of you that knows how to see, how to understand, and how to let go. Like the ocean floor still, and deep beneath the crashing waves. Like the mountain unshaken no matter which way the wind blows. That kind of inner peace is possible for all of us. You don't have to be a saint. Just a little mindfulness, a little compassion, a little letting go every day. And slowly, you'll begin to notice negative people don't control your mood anymore. Criticism doesn't rattle you the way it used to. The past doesn't weigh down your shoulders like before. Because in the end, peace is the most precious gift you can give yourself. Moment by moment, breath by breath. If something in this video touched your heart, help us share this peaceful energy with others. Subscribe to the channel, Buddhism Seeds. Hit like, share this video, and leave a comment below. How have you learned to move through negativity? Thank you for being here. May you always have enough awareness to stay peaceful, no matter how noisy the world becomes.